FPL draft boys, come out and play! FPL draft boys, we're back. Welcome back to the Draft Podcast. Let's do it. Yeah. As always, joined by Miles, Heato, myself, Whitey. Lads, how we doing?
Mate, yeah, so good. So good. That was fresh. That had me giggling. I'm not going to lie. That intro, that was so good.
I just thought I'd try something, you know.
Is it the intro or are we just laughing at Whitey?
Mate.
Bobbing over Zoom.
Yeah, I know. I got to get into it. I got to ramp myself up for these pods. You know, it takes a lot to kind of get into it over Zoom.
I thought just seeing our faces, you know, just as your only social interaction once a week would do it. But okay, whatever.
Not quite. I'd like to see those faces in person.
That's fair.
Boys, we're back. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Another week.
Yeah.
Another ep. I'm excited. Lots has happened. How you guys feeling?
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. Pretty happy with my scores this week. I don't know if you're happy to jump straight into that, but
mate, go.
Look,
finally you're excited to talk about your scores. I'm really happy for you.
I know exactly. It's not happened a lot lately, but you know, I'm glad I didn't have to wait too long into the season to get there. Game week 2. Yeah. I've got a solid 53 this week, which I'm pretty happy with.
Very nice.
Woo! Heato.
Carried heavily by Simicast and Mings, with 26 between the two of them. But cheeky little pickup of the Brentford keeper, Raya, this week helped with a nice little clean sheet and just a few other scattered points here and there.
Yeah. Nice. That's very nice. Miles, how about you?
Yeah, I had another solid week. I got 66. It was mainly in defence until this morning, when my West Ham boys, Ben Rama in pajamas and Antonio the GOAT, just came through with like 28 points from two people.
Fuck.
Mate,
so it was pretty
brutal.
Good. And yeah, obviously Sterling and Mahrez coming off the bench and both scoring was very critical for my team this week.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Can't say. I feel like the fantasy gods are 100% with you there.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, not fully though. It would have been Fernandes would have popped off if they truly were in your favour, but they obviously wanted to just not get you too excited.
Yeah, keep him a little bit regulated.
Yeah, and also the fact that Sterling and Mahrez didn't get bonus either. That was a nice little positive.
Yeah. I don't know what position you're thinking about, but from our perspective, it's definitely a positive. Boys. Well, I'll give a quick summary of my team. Reece James. Fuck yes. I said it last week. Jesus.
Crazy.
Proved me right. The link up with Lukaku, 18 points from him. And, quite a bit of points from my clean sheets as well, because I've got double Chelsea defense, and Calvert-Lewin and Ings both getting on the score sheet. So, yeah, good week. I think I got 57 overall, -1 for Pereira hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so happy to see that, man. Sorry.
That fucking sucked. But
it's fun looking at your team, how the formation played out too, with 5-2-3.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's very swayed because obviously I've got Foden and Rashford in my team, and Leon Bailey, who's a bit injured.
Yeah.
So, those two big injuries, I'm kind of really keen for them to get back.
I know it's gonna be strong when they are, but it just looks funny to see a fantasy team because it's not very often that you'd end up with that kind of layout of your formation.
No, definitely not. Me in particular, I never have good forwards. All right, boys, let's dive into this. So for those who don't know how we run this show, we go through and preview all next week's games, but we also talk about how each of those teams went. Oh my God, I'm missing snack chat.
I know, I was just shaking my head. At you.
Oh, this is why I need a run sheet every week, boys. I'm that forgetful. Okay, circle back. Snack chat. Now, snack chat is our favourite segment. outside.
Oh, not yours, obviously, this week, mate.
Well, no, not this
falling
week.
Down the order there.
Bit pathetic. Normally, we would do it in person and someone would bring us all snacks and a drink and we'd rate and berate them. But, yeah, we can't do that. So we're supplying our own bevies at the moment. So what have you guys got?
Can I just say, I really miss, like, in-person snack chat. It was literally the highlight of my week. You know, like even like bringing the snack, getting the snacks from you guys. I can't wait to be back in person.
I know, me too. Vaccinate, people. Vaccinate. I'm not sure how much reach we have here, but get the jab.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. While I'm on a little rant, I'll go first. I loaded up on the drinks this week because I actually just feel like getting a little bit sauced. So I've just got 3 Han Super Dries, just so they're crispy, you know, and they're going to go down sweet. And I got half a pack of Tim Tams left over from last night, so I'm going to nibble on them as we go through it.
Nibble away, buddy.
Mate, this will be interesting if we keep this under an hour and we're getting 3 beers out of Miley G. This is going to be spicy.
It's definitely going to be the place to be, for sure. All right, well, I'll go next. Ooh, fuck you, COVID. All right. Now, I've got a little Wild Moose, it's called. Canadian Whiskey Dry. This is one of those classic bevies that you like someone brought to your house like 2 years ago. And like you're like, that's a weird looking drink. And you just never drink it. It sits in the back of a cupboard. Here it is. I'm about to taste it for the first time.
Yeah.
Let us know how it is.
Yeah, let us know.
Not bad. It's not quite as good as a CC Dry, but it's not quite as flavoursome, but it's good. It's 1.4 standard drinks, so you know, it'll get up in you.
Take that.
Yeah. Would you buy?
Yeah, actually, on second sip, it might even rival a CC.
Oh, you piqued my interest. You know how high I rated that last year on Snapchat.
Well, Wild Moose.
Wild Moose.
Don't know where to get them, but Wild Moose.
We'll find it. We've got a Dan's down the road. Dan Murphy's. Let's go hunting.
Yes. All right.
What about you, Heato?
Well, boys, I've gone the complete opposite to you two. I've gone a bit on a health trend, you know, at the moment. In COVID, I'm trying to be good as opposed to last year in lockdown. I went the very unhealthy route. And this time I'm going hard the other way. So I'm snacking on a little smoothie. Strawberry and banana smoothie. Pre-dinner.
Nice.
Wow, Heto's changed. So how's AA going, Heato?
It's going all right, mate.
That's good, mate.
I've got no excuse to not show up, so
yeah, exactly. It's all over Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's dive in. Well, quickly, Heato, how do you rate your smoothie?
Oh, it's pretty damn good. It's a solid 8.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I could imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine. That must be delicious. Okay.
I will say, just before we jump into it, you guys are frozen on my screen. So if you want to give me any prompts, I can't see them. So let's get into it.
I love it, Miles. You're one big technical difficulty on the Zoom thing, so we're used to that, mate.
The mileage freeze frame.
Yeah. Okay. So, as I was saying before, what we normally do on the show is we kind of preview all the games, running through each one, but also cycling back and talking a bit how they went in the previous game week, top performers from each fixture, and a bit of bands along the way. So why don't we dive into the first one here, Manchester City versus Arsenal. Yeah,
we've got a couple of big fixtures this week.
I don't know if that's a big fixture other than
wait, you didn't let me finish, you know.
Oh, sorry.
Big in terms of like absolutely demoralizing and a punish and a pleasure to watch as a non-Arsenal fan.
Yeah, look, it's definitely the one to look out for points for City players. Let's just put it that way. Well, City, beat Norwich 5-0, which was a bit of a spanking, and then Arsenal lost 2-0 to Chelsea. They lost last week 2-0 as well, and I don't like the look of this fixture for them. No. Especially after watching them against Chelsea. It was not a great performance. But let's start with City. Miles, why don't you get us kicked off? Did you have any highlights here?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to say last week we said that Pep doesn't like Jesus, and for me, he was pretty much the man of the match. He really deserved a goal, but he really looked good out on the wing rather than in the centre.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. But do you think do you think Mahrez owners should be worried?
I'm actually going to say no, because I think it's, obviously Mahrez owners would have been expecting a big haul from this. But I think it's slightly a compliment to Mahrez of Pep saying, I don't actually need you against Norwich. I'm going to play some other people and kind of save you for other fixtures.
Okay.
So as Heato said at the start of the season with Mahrez and his points hauls, you got to be committed just to play him. And if he comes off the bench, he comes off the bench, but sometimes he might not even come on and you're just going to get an auto sub. So,
you think
pretty much.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I was just going to say it. So you think that Pep saw this fixture, saw a very achievable win, and maybe that's why there were five changes in the team?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So part of that rotation that you got to worry about with City.
Well, also they didn't get off to a great start last week either. So they definitely, I think the points were guaranteed regardless of who he started. But I feel like this was a bit of a stronger team potentially, especially at the back.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Definitely at the back. But with attacking, he's just got so many people that he can play in all different types of areas that it's just going to be the Pep roulette week in, week out. Yeah. And, you see with Sterling and Mahrez, they're going to come off the bench and they're still going to be dynamic for fantasy assets. So, if you draft City players, especially those attacking players, you just have to play them and see what happens.
Yeah, that's good advice. Rare from you, Miles. So let's move on to. I was waiting till he was having a sip from his beer, so he couldn't defend himself.
Pounces.
Well, Grealish got a debut goal there, but not in the way we'd expect. In off his knee.
Yeah, it's a bit ugly.
It's pretty lucky. I like this little, fingers and ears celebration.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It does seem weird seeing him in that kind of baby blue.
Yeah, I think it suits him, to be honest. He's such he's got swag.
He does have swag.
He actually, I don't know if you boys have watched, there's a show called Ted Lasso that Apple's done. And,
is it good?
I don't mind it. As you kind of, if you can put past some of the football shit that goes on that you kind of because we know football, it's yeah, okay, that wouldn't happen. There are some really good moments. It is quite a fun show, but there's a really dickhead character in it who just thinks he's too cool for school. And I just keep thinking it must be based off Grealish.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Anyway, so other highlights from that we'll just run through. Mahrez with a nice finish, as we said. The balls in from the midfield were amazing. There were some really long balls just coming in, and one resulted in one of the goals. I think it was Mahrez's goal, and it was pretty impressive, to be honest. They were just lasers.
Yeah, they were looking up for it for sure, and they definitely were keen to kind of right, the result from the week before against Tottenham, but against Norwich as well. Look, I think they're just going to be the whipping boys this season. So,
okay, so let's talk about Arsenal,
the other whipping boys of the season.
Yeah, it seems like it. Look, we're trying not to be too harsh on Arsenal because we do tend to pick on them. Sorry, Arsenal fans. We've not really showed you much love out there. But you understand. Yeah, so that pen on Saka, I don't really think that was a pen. It was just kind of a tangle of legs side by side, really.
I don't know. Even as a Chelsea fan, I thought that was pretty close to being a pen, personally.
Oh, yeah, it was close to being a pen, but it wasn't a pen.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that because it's not a big part of fantasy. But, Yeah. They were just dominated in the first half. I saw a couple of chances from Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe. But generally they just got spanked. And I
have to say, the best thing to come out of this game was got to be the Arsenal fan TV reactions. Like, I had so much fun watching them during this week. It's just been
You
so
did shoot
hilarious.
us a couple.
Yeah, no, I watched it actually just before we came on the pod. It was so funny.
Oh my God. It's
There was
unreal.
one guy for he's saying, let me speak for 10 minutes. It was so good. He's like, I let you speak. Let me speak. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Calling for the scalp of Arteta after 2 weeks has just got to be the best thing that's come out of this game.
Okay, so just before we move on, I'll get a prediction because we missed them last week. Miley G in the place to be. How about you give us a little prediction?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to see Arsenal scoring this fixture, but I do think that they're going to try and be somewhat more defensive. So I'm just going to go with 3-0 to City. Okay.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll have more of their starting lineup back by next week. Okay, Aston Villa versus Brentford coming up. Aston Villa won 2-0 against Newcastle, and Brentford drew 0-0 against Palace. Aston Villa looking a bit better this week. What did you think, Heat?
Yeah, they looked a lot better this week. They were a bit of a shambles last week at the back, a lot more solid. And I think, that combination of last week as well against Watford, obviously they were very up for it, being back in the Prem. But I think the highlights just got to go out to Ingsy with that finish.
Fuck yes.
It was beautiful.
Man, so I saw that and I was like, yeah, boy.
Yeah, that was a really nice finish. Really nice.
But he didn't get to take the pen. I was so upset by that. Oh, I'm an Ings owner, and that fucking bummed me out.
Yeah, I know. Although the commentators were saying that apparently El Ghazi's I'm not sure how many he's taken, but 100% record. So I'm not surprised that if there was any less than 100, Ingsy might have taken it because we know he took them at Southampton. So
no, and I think as well, El Ghazi's not a starter for the most part once the whole team is fit.
I don't think so. He had a mad run last season, but I think, when they've got potentially Traore on the right and Bailey, I'm not sure where El Ghazi's going to fit
back in the squad. So, I think potentially Ingsy will be taking most of the pens, which is a good shout out for fantasy owners.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Brentford. I just don't really have much to say here other than it seems to be kind of similar to the Leeds roller coaster at this point. I know it's very early to say, but they just have that vibe.
Yeah, I'd say that, obviously their defense has been really, really impressive. But then you've got to take it with a grain of salt. They've played Arsenal with not a full attacking lineup, as we've seen. And then obviously Palace, who, without Zaha scoring, they just don't look like they will score against anyone. But I will say, people that are looking at picking up Brentford assets, their fixtures are going to turn very ugly pretty soon. I think they play Villa, which isn't the greatest game, and then Brighton Wolves, which is okay. And then it goes Liverpool, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester. So you might want to grab them for short term, but you're probably going to be getting rid of them pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll see if they can stand up to how Leeds kind of came in to the league. Because, they faced some difficult fixtures and did all right. So who knows?
Yeah. And if someone holds some form over the game so far, plus those 3, maybe it might be worth riding them out for 4 games to then have the 3 after, which are Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle. So...
yeah, okay. Well, Heato, why don't you predict that one for me and we'll get on to the next.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2-2.
2-2?
Okay. Yeah, I think Brentford might get some points out of this potentially.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I can see that happening. Okay, Brighton versus Everton is our next game. Brighton Yeah, Brighton won 2-0, consistent from them. And yeah, Everton drawing against Leeds 2-2.
Yeah, man. Well,
what did you guys think of Brighton?
Well, Brighton are really stepping up from what we were talking about pre-season. We spoke about if they carry it on, like I think Whitey called it, like saying...
I did call it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the shout out, Heat. That's really
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome, mate. I'm just trying to, give it when it's due. I don't give it to you often, and you just seemed like you need it today.
I don't get it often, so
this is not a lot to give, to be honest. But whatever.
Look, I'll take it. No, yeah, they have looked good. I mean, and last season their results were so brutal. Like there were so many draws and so many games they missed out by just like poor finishing and having good opportunities and missing them. So I think we've said it before. If they can get control of that, they could be quite good.
Man, 100%. And I think there's those kind of games these are the games they need to be winning as well. Burnley,
yeah,
Watford.
For sure. No, this is
where they were drawing or losing these games last year. So
I think they might be a tough task for Everton. Like it's been a decent start for them, and Everton, well,
yeah, we saw they could be opened up with Leeds. Obviously, Leeds are pretty decent going forward, but they weren't probably at their best as yet. But yeah, they definitely could be opened up, and Everton's defense is not looking amazing.
Is there anyone from Brighton you'd be jumping on for this fixture, or after or even just after the two decent results that they've had?
I'd probably say, obviously Morpay's scored 2 weeks in a row now, and if you're in a league with probably 6 or 7 men, Morpay still might be available just because of the high rotation of forwards. And I'm actually looking at Morpay as more of like a long-term option. I think that he does have it in him to be a consistent FPL asset, especially in draft format.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, Miles. I mean, look, I've had him at times over the last 2 seasons, and he can be frustrating, and he's had his problems with management and everything. But if he gets control of that, he does look like quite a talented player. And if he goes on a tear, you wanna have him. So
yeah,
as Miles said, he's not in everyone's teams in the draft format. So. Yeah. I'm keeping a very close eye on him. I'd say, if my forwards weren't so strong, I'd be already jumped on him. But the injury this week to his shoulder just puts a little question mark. But I don't know if it's too bad. It's still just a shoulder. Okay.
What about Everton, boys?
Yeah, let's talk about Everton. Marley G. What do you reckon?
Well, with FPL returns, we've got Decore with another one, which is an interesting one. As you guys know, he's on my top 5 list of box-to-box midfielders.
Yeah. I think we're still waiting for that list, aren't we?
Oh, it's coming.
The complete list. Yeah.
And, obviously with DCL with the pen, earned it.
Yeah, boy.
Took it himself. And Gray. But just going back to DCL, we were having a little conversation off pod, just about DCL's penalty spot kicks. And I actually thought that Richarlison took most of them when Sigurdsson wasn't on the pitch. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, well, I just think maybe they're going to be taking turns. I think one of you guys brought up the point that when they get fouled, then they might take the pen. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. DCL was dragged down and he took the pen. And with no Sigurdsson around, who, can be a pretty consistent pen taker as well, I think those two may share some of the pens, Richarlison and DCL.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and see how that develops throughout the season. And it's an interesting point of, you win it, you take it. And we'll bring it up later, but it's like what Delhi did in the Tottenham game. So it's an interesting concept to look at, and I think penalties might be a bit more shared than they have been in the past.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, for sure. I think as well, just worth noting, Demarai Gray is kind of playing in behind DCL at the moment, and he is looking fairly good there, and I'm not sure what competition he has for that position if James is not playing, and if James is moving on and Siggy is in jail. But maybe a decent player to keep an eye on, because I don't think he would have been picked up by a lot of people to begin with.
Yeah, he hasn't scored a lot of goals in his career from what I've seen. So
okay,
I'm not sure how far that can go, but
so don't just get excited after one goal.
But you never know. In really deep leagues with 12 people or so, you've got to be looking at these type of players for the chance of one goal, which can help separate some points.
100%. All right, I'll predict this fixture. I'm actually going to go an upset. I'm going to say 2-1 to Brighton.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, I like that. I feel it.
Yeah.
And the one goal for Everton will be DCL.
Okay,
mate.
If we have to.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Okay, next one. Newcastle versus Southampton. Not a lot to say here, boys. Joe Wilcock is officially signed from Arsenal.
Yep.
And got the start there. He was a fairly exciting player last season. I'm skipping straight ahead. I haven't even said the results. They lost 2-0 to Aston Villa. And Southampton drew 1-1 with Man United, which was quite impressive, I thought. Miles, what did you think about Wilson in that Newcastle game?
Yeah, it was a massive miss from him, and he usually takes those opportunities, with a grain of salt. Like he buries them, doesn't he? So that was a bit surprising for Wilson owners. But yeah, I didn't. Are you doing a fuck you, COVID?
Fuck COVID.
I saw you crack that shit. Well,
get it in
I
there.
heard it because you guys are just completely frozen. But yeah, with Newcastle, I think that they're gonna win some games, but it's mainly gonna be through your Wilson and ASM Saint Maximum. So we didn't see it this game, but this fixture could be potential for those two strikers. Obviously, Wilson's going to be taken in, I think, every league, but ASM is definitely someone to consider. I think against Southampton, they impressed me against United. But this is a different type of fixture, and I think it will be a little bit more open.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Saint Maximum is just one of those players that you can't even
hot and cold.
Yeah, you can't even keep him. You can't even put him in your team. But maybe as a now he's a striker as well. It makes it more hard. I don't know about him, man.
Cool.
I liked him as a mid because you could bring him in as like a swing player. But when he's one of your forwards, it's harder. That's a harder position to give away. But maybe.
I think in the really packed leagues of those 10 plus leagues, man leagues, I think that's where he's actually quite an okay option. He's starting every week. He's just giving you another player that's part of your squad.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. All right, Southampton actually impressing me here, drawing with United. What'd
you like, Whitey?
At all? Well, I mean, they kind of caught Man United asleep a few times in the game. They lost the ball and
dispossessed for the goal. Yeah,
exactly, dispossessed for that goal. I've seen someone's note in our spreadsheet here. Ings Jr. Armstrong. He's quite interesting actually, and he did miss some good chances, but he gets into good spaces.
He does, yeah. I think the 1v was kind of a 1v1. I think he should have buried. That was their. This type of game when you're holding against a team that you probably aren't expected to beat, you get that one chance in the game to go ahead.
Yeah.
And he fucked it. And I was just like, man, that was it. That's your one chance and it's gone.
It was brutal, but
you got one chance, one opportunity.
One shot.
Shea Adams took his one chance, one opportunity. But used at first I thought it was an amazing finish, and then I saw the replay. I was like, deflected goal.
Yeah, Fred OG.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good result, pretty poor result from United, and
solid point for Southampton, definitely.
So who wants to predict this fixture? I think it's Miles' turn.
Yeah, I'll go back to it, and a little bit. These fixtures always get me, but I'm just going to go with something spicy for attacking credentials. I'm just going to go 2-2.
Ooh.
I think I think it's a fun kind of number to go with.
I was going to say 2-1 Newcastle.
Well, Heato, it's not your turn.
I think it's close.
So pipe down, mate.
Just okay. Okay.
Not all of us are on the smoothies, mate. We can't all be all righteous and smoothies, okay?
Mate, my head's just so clear right now. I'm just like, pitch, Mate,
I'm in a zone. Okay. Norwich versus Leicester. Norwich got spanked 5-0 by City. Can't remember them doing anything exciting.
No, our only note is poop.
Yeah, literally, I think we can move on. Poop.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to become the new Sheffield like last season, who we didn't even talk about them.
Yeah, they were banned from the pod.
They
might that shall not be named.
Mate, it might be a similar thing. I think we might. We've already got that in contention. So
I think so. Well, I guess we're going to find out in the next couple of game weeks. But let's not rule them out too soon. It's still City.
Okay.
Now I think we should just move straight on to Leicester. Here,
they got pooped on.
They got pooped on too. I mean, it's a bit of poop this week flying around.
Yeah.
Marley G.
Yeah. So, look, West Ham look really up for it, and which we'll talk about when we get to them. Leicester, they got the red card through Pereira, who we already mentioned in your team. Thank God. But
not red card. It was through Perez, dude. Perez got the red.
Oh, wasn't it Pereira?
Nah. Perez got the red card.
Just conceding 4 goals.
I saw the -1 and I just assumed it.
Nah, Pereira got conceded.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rough raking with the studs there.
Yeah.
I was only seeing, West Ham assets. But yeah, look, with Leicester assets, I'd be holding on to them. I think it's just a little blip in the radar after that. And this is a perfect fixture for them to bounce back.
Is it ever?
Yeah, this should be, a confidence builder for the boys. There's really only the Tielemans goal in that game, which he did put a decent shot on and it kind of rebounded back to him and he finished it well.
Mm-hmm.
Only other thing of note was how poor Soyuncu's pass was to
my Lord.
West Ham another opportunity or another goal.
That was horrendous.
That was terrible.
But West Ham was all over him. So
yeah, West Ham really look up for it and I'm looking forward to talking about them. So, Heato, I think it's your prediction here.
Yeah, I think Leicester are going to win 2-0.
And goal scorers?
Goal scorers, Vardy Party's going to get back on the train for sure.
Okay.
And I think we might see one from Harvey Barnes.
Oh, the old Barnesy.
Barnesy.
Okay, well, I did say before I was excited to talk about West Ham, so they're up next.
Oh, how convenient, boys.
That is convenient. Very, very nicely placed there. West Ham versus Crystal Palace. Fuck me. I'm a little bit nervous here because of all the West Ham players Miles have. But yeah, so West Ham won 4-1, as we said, against Leicester, against 10-man Leicester. And then Palace drew 0-0 with Brentford. Now, holy shit, Miles, tell me about it. West Ham.
West Ham, two game weeks in a row that they've scored 4 goals. I think that, they're going to be scoring these amount of goals for a lot of games. Obviously against City, Chelsea, Liverpool, they probably can't do something like that. But wow, Ben Rama has literally been such a pickup for them because you take Lingard out and the amount of goals and assists that he created last season when he got signed, and it kind of just seems like a like for like for me.
Yeah.
The link up with Antonio has just been incredible.
I know. Antonio in that game was fucked.
He looks really good, like really fit. Like he did look a bit chunky last season.
No,
and he slimmed down a bit.
He fucking didn't. He was
mate. Come on.
This is bullshit. This is Miles like, I've got Antonio now, and he's looking trim. Fuck, he looks
No,
good.
he does. Like, Heato, back me up. Like,
mate, you've got relationship goggles on. He's got relationship goggles on.
Yeah, Miles good.
No, look, he does look fit. Those tight shorts looked tantalising.
He looked fit when I picked him up, mate. I reckon all it's going to take is a little ding.
Mate, do you know what? He was the Heato of lockdown from 2020. And this year he's the Heato lockdown of 2020.
100%.
Drinking the smoothies.
Okay, all right. Well, let's quickly run through how he scored his goals. One of them was an amazing turn and finish.
Oh, yeah.
And for the second goal, that fucking flicks it over his head and then kind of like studs up, dives at the ball and finishes at bottom corner.
Yeah, it just screamed of like a game of like boys, versus men. Like the way they were up for that game and the hunger, like Leicester players would like just seem defeated from the red card.
Yeah, that they didn't seem up for it at all.
Yeah, he looked on fire, but like even the finish from Fornals earlier on was lovely. Ball in from Benrahma, first time hit. Like that's confidence, man. So
and he's not owned in our league, and I that's 2 starts for him at the start of the season, and 2 goals. I think he's got 2 goals, or at least a goal and an assist. I'll have to check last week.
He got an assist last week.
Yeah, goal and assist. So he's in there, and he did have a decent run at the start of last season. If he can keep in the team, they do look like a team keen to score goals. So he's definitely someone on my radar.
100%, you'd be wanting to get in on that West Ham team. I think it's a team where obviously there's stronger players in the attacking options, but it's one where you can actually probably jump on someone, know they're a regular starter, like Bowen, Fornals, Souček. Their options are in and around there. They could, sneak in with a goal or assist here and there when you got 2 main guys firing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Bowen was a starter in that game too. So, yeah, definitely some options there and, ones that do look pretty spicy.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Palace. Miles, I know you like Palace, but I don't think there's much to be said here.
Yeah, I do like my Palace, but they don't look great. As I said earlier, without Zaha playing well, and it just really seems like every time Zaha gets touched, he just drops to the floor, and I just want to see a bit more from him because, he needs to be stronger and he needs to lead with,
By example.
By example, thank you. And it seems like he's being like a whiny little bitch. I'm sorry. It hurts me to say that.
Yeah.
That's just, it hurts me because I love Zaha. You know how much I love Zaha. And he's just really disappointed me, man.
Yeah, well, it's not happening this season. They've changed the rules to allow a little bit more physical contact this year. So I think players will pick up on that soon enough and stop going down.
Well,
so we're going to talk about Palace later in the season, but just at the moment, I think that they really need to pull their head in and just hit the pitch because this fixture again is not good for them. We've seen what West Ham have been doing, and it could be another 4 goals for West Ham.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on now. I'm going to predict this one 3-0.
Yeah, do it, mate.
3-0. I think Fornals back in it, Antonio in it, Benrahma. And I think a clean sheet's pretty attainable there.
Benrahma.
Oh my God, look at this next fixture.
This is the big one, boys. This is the big one.
Liverpool versus Chelsea.
I'm excited.
Wow.
Man, we've designated some time for this. This is the biggest fixture of this game week. And yeah.
Of our season as well. Of our individual respective seasons as fans on this pod,
100%. This is huge.
This could break up the pod.
I don't know.
I doubt it. We're strong, mate. We got strong relationships here.
Look, we'll just sleep in different bedrooms for a few nights and then it'll be all fine.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, you got the couch, Heato.
Talk us through the past results.
So Liverpool 2-0 against Burnley and Chelsea 2-0 against Arsenal. So they've won against very similar teams there, Burnley and Arsenal. No, yep. God, I said I'd trash Arsenal less, but I'm having trouble. Okay, so yeah, Liverpool. Heato, another start for Jota.
Yeah, man, he's looking good and in form and keeping Bobby out of the lineup at the moment. And I think with another goal this week, it's probably going to continue. I don't think much is going to change for next week against Chelsea. Both teams have had kind of easier fixtures to start the season, and this is their first real test.
Would you say any Jota owners have gotten a bit lucky there, or anyone who drafted Jota have gotten a bit lucky there? Or would you have said that maybe this was on the horizon?
I think it's some people who maybe didn't know or aren't Liverpool fans probably might skew it to luck. But I think you could definitely give them some credit for if they went early. I think that was a smart risk that actually is paying off. But I think he should have been drafted fairly high regardless, just because of what he did last season when he was involved and the team he's in. And I think, if you look at it really in a lens of actually a really strategic pick, Bobby wasn't great last year.
No.
We suffered with goals. There's so much reliance on Salah. I think to add that other dimension, I think it's actually it's going to be cool to watch what actually happens with him moving forward. Like, does Bobby just suffer long term? I don't know.
Well, I think Bobby's always been he's been a very consistent performer. I think over his time, he's got 140 to 160 points every season. So he's like, not every season, but most seasons he's played, last like 4 or so. So he's very consistent, but we could definitely see his points drop from that consistent, those consistent numbers. And, I think what we'll see is that Jota and Firmino are, used fairly tactically based on the fixtures.
I agree. I was just about to say that. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens against Chelsea because obviously we've versed easier teams already. So having 3 outward attacking players,
I think Bobby's going to play.
Yeah, he could, man, because he's got a lot better work rate, like defensively. Jota is good too, but Bobby's really good at winning the ball back. And he's really good at kind of dropping back and nicking the possession back. So that potentially against a stronger opposition, it might be, as you say, a strategic
But Heato, you probably won't have possession at all, I would say. Just
well, that's why we've got to nick it back, mate.
I don't think there's any nicking.
Yeah, Bobby holds up the ball really well, much better than Jota. And I think Heato summarized it really well in one of our preseason episodes where he said that Firmino was more of just like I think you said dynamic playmaker.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Liverpool need in these types of fixtures. So I do agree. I think that Klopp's probably going to start Bobby, but with the form of Jota and that finish that he did, because Liverpool have, those 2 wing backs that are playing at the moment. And then if Robertson replaces, Sir Marcus, then, Jota can really finish across like he did on the weekend.
Yeah. No,
yeah, he's good 100%. In the air. And that's a good point, mate, because against someone like, Chelsea, if you're giving them an extra attacker to focus on, like to draw Kante away and a defender, that actually might be the space we need to get through you guys, as opposed to...
It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be a great game. I hope it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, man. BBD versus Lukaku, that's going to be a huge battle.
Oh my God. I can't wait to talk about Lukaku, but we'll keep going here. We'll press on with Liverpool. Look, Elliott looked really good, and it was a nice pass from him through to Salah for what was an offside goal, but I was quite impressed by him throughout the game.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot more of him this year with Shaq just getting sold. Shaq
and also gone. Yeah, Wijnaldum, obviously gone too. There's some space for someone to come in, so
just like what Heato said last week. Yeah, that was a really interesting point. That with Widgie gone, and Henderson, and now this new kid Elliott, there will be some sort of FPL returns, I think, in a team like Liverpool.
I just don't think it's going to be big. There's not a huge change there. I mean, the points are still going to come from the main outlets, and I mean, the only big change is the one we were talking about, Firmino and Jota. For the most part,
you'd have to be a Liverpool fan in a deep league to be playing that kind of waiver wire fun. But boys, I've taken up so much time. I'm gonna hand over the mic.
We haven't even talked about the goals. There were some nice goals in that.
Oh, there were, but boys, I'm just conscious. I want you to get some time before we beat you.
Okay. Well, you did take up 6 minutes of our time here, but
what you doing counting me, mate? Why are you timing me?
Oh, mate, I'm literally counting in my head all the time. Oh. Always. All right, let's talk about Chelsea Arsenal. Wow.
Yeah, what a massive game.
Oh, Miles.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, I've said it I said it after we won the Champions League. I think, Chelsea are literally preparing themselves to be the future of English football. And, I know that we've played Arsenal.
Come on.
I love when Miles says this outlandish.
Can I have that mic back now? Like, I regret handing it over.
I know we played Palace and then Arsenal, but, Chelsea just look good. And I think that those scorelines could have been a lot worse for the two opposing teams. And we've just got depth this year. We got Reece James makes a start and, Kai Havertz, come on.
I told you. Reece James is going to be super influential this season, I think. Just having that centre forward up there that's going to finish the balls he's on the end of. And Lukaku's like dropping back, holding the ball up like an absolute animal. Like, he was monstering, was it, Pablo Mari? Is that his name?
Oh, yeah. He was dominating. He was unplayable. He was literally unplayable.
There was nothing you could do, and I'm struggling to think, like, the only person that is immediately coming to mind is VVD.
That's going to be a battle.
But still, VVD's just back. Like, I'm not sure. VVD at full strength, sure. But I think fucking Lukaku's going to be a handful.
Yeah. The thing that's worrying me is that Fabinho hasn't played this game because his father just passed away. Right. And he is a man I'd want to be sitting in our defensive midfielder spot to be hassling Lukaku all game when he drops deep.
Yeah, I mean, that would be good. But it just, it'll be interesting because, Chelsea definitely just powered down the left and right side with the wing backs in that game. Lukaku stoked up so much of the pressure internally because he's such a massive threat that there was just massive space for Alonso and Reece James.
Yeah, no Chile.
Mainly Reece James.
No Chile this week again?
I'm not super surprised by that. I think we're going to see them rotated a lot. It's going to be on a case-by-case and team-by-team basis.
So you'd still be holding if you are owner?
I wasn't thinking of Chile as a great asset this season anyway, because I did think once Tuchel came in, he did use them tactically. And, Alonso's great because he has that goal-scoring threat from set pieces and everything. And it's just so hard to call which one's going to play. If you had both of them, that would be good because you'd never have to worry. And, they're both good players and it would just auto-sub. But that's still one player down.
It's taking, yeah.
But, Reece James, obviously, great cross in for Lukaku in that game and an awesome finish. He's probably more nailed on than either of Alonso or Chile. I don't think he's got as much competition on the right now that Azpi's sitting on the right 100%. Side of the centre-backs.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to have a breakout season this year. And, if you don't have him, maybe trade for him because maybe someone might
don't let it run. Get on it before it runs away and is too valuable.
The train's left the station. 18 points. Anyone who's got him now is going to be like, holy fuck.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm just going to round out Chelsea with just a little bit of draft strategy. So I've been speaking to one of our fans, BD White, quite a bit. And we were actually talking about...
Shout out to BD.
Yeah, he got a shout out to him. I've been having awesome chats with him. So cheers for that, brother. But we've been talking about when you're coming first or second and you're really low in that waiver wire, you got to be looking for trades that are a few weeks in ahead. So I saw that Ziyech was back in training and, he hasn't done anything yet. So he's not going to be on everyone's radar. So I actually picked him up in the open period of the waiver. And it wasn't to play him. It was literally just to have him. So no one else could pick him up because I saw he was back and everyone thought he might be having surgery and whatnot.
That was in my fucking notes for this week.
Just with draft, you've got to be thinking a little bit outside the box. and he brought up a really good point of, James Rodriguez. Obviously there was a lot of talk about him leaving, and maybe he's available in a lot of leagues, and he looks like he's probably going to stay at this point. So, you could jump on that if you're in, the lower waiver wires, to actually jump on players just to have them, to block them from other people.
Oh,
yeah, you got to have that.
I'm filthy, Miles.
You got to have that depth in your squad to play those strategies too. But I know it's a good shout, mate, because I didn't even know he was coming back that soon. So that's a really solid play. I'll give you some props there. It hurts me, but I'll give you some props there.
Ah, that stings. Who'd you drop for him, out of curiosity? Who'd you drop for him?
Bergwijn, buddy. Remember the we had on Friday night?
Oh, okay.
Can we just run through that scenario? Can you tell the story, Whitey?
So basically we were having a Zoom hangout, Heato, Miles and I with our partners on Saturday night. We're all sitting there. Oh no, it was Friday night. So for Australia time, the waiver wire ended began at 10. So everyone's waivers went in and we all kind of jumped on at the same time and having a look. And we're kind of going through, and I stupidly said out loud something about Bergwijn, because basically I think he got someone tried to pick him up, but it didn't go through because they got someone else.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I forgot about Bergwijn, said that out loud, and then realized I said it out loud and was racing to try and get the app open because I saw Miles was already app in hand.
Yeah.
By the time I got there, he was fucking gone. Miles took him the snake and then drops him for Ziyech, another fucking player I wanted.
I was watching this too. It's just they were so focused on the conversation, just went silent. It's just there's two boys staring at their phones. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. We're already boring the girls with the with the fantasy chat. And
it just shows that Miles and I are on a level, and it's the same level. We're just, Miles has been a bit quicker at this point, but I'm going to come back, baby. Miles, please predict this result. We've talked about this for 15 minutes, so we need to get on to the next one.
Yeah, let's jump on. I'm going to go 1-0 to Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I just think Chelsea have been so good in big games. They control the games really well against big teams, so I agree with that. Just like
what we saw in the Champions League final, I think Tuchel's going to just try and think a goal and then just go real defensive on it.
Mm.
I'm glad you didn't insult me and go larger than a 1. I will take that.
No, I respect your defense a lot. I respect what Liverpool have done in the last, 4 or 5 years.
Okay. Let's talk about Burnley versus Leeds.
Oh, I was liking that.
No, I got sick of that. Way too much fucking blowing smoke up his ass. All right. Burnley lost 2-0 to Liverpool. Leeds 2-2 against Everton. Burnley, honestly, for me, the only thing was Ashley Barnes looked actually really, really lively.
Yeah, he's a bit of a terrier. We've called him out in previous seasons. They've just never really come to much, but they did have a few moments in the game against Liverpool where they looked a bit threatening. Chris Wood looked absolutely quiet, but it was some of the movement around him that looked a little bit interesting at times. Alisson having to pull off a few good saves from them.
Ashley, on the note of Ashley, he's had some injuries, and that's always something to worry about with him. But whenever he's started to get a bit of form, he gets an injury. So that's worth watching. But I don't know. He just seems like Miles was talking about Ziyech and people at the top of their waivers. Watching him in that game, I'm like, he's someone I can see getting in the goals against another team, and Leeds could be a good example because they do let in goals.
Yeah, and it is Liverpool as well. As I just said, I really rate their defense, so it would have been hard for Burnley, attacking assets to get some sort of return. But yeah, this is a perfect game, as you said. For Wood, Barnes, even Rodriguez. Looks like he's coming off the bench, but he's definitely an option for them if they choose to go with that, especially if Leeds are going to do that open play.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Leeds. They drew 2-2 with Everton. Heato, Yeah, any highlights for you there that stood out?
Yeah, they looked a little bit more threatening this game, didn't they, boys? As opposed to last week against a rampant Man U.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few nice goals, like the counter attack with Paddy B passing off to Klish to finish nicely 1v1.
That was nice.
Sexy fizzer from Rafinha to whip in and make it 2-2.
Jeez. Well, we questioned his finishing last week, and he's put down a statement there.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of they're easing into the season a little bit. They haven't come out fully firing, but I think we've still got confidence in their assets, and long term over the season they'll be good.
Okay. Now can I get a prediction from you, Heato, for that one?
You can, mate. I think Leeds will win 3-1.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a Leeds result if I've ever heard one. Especially against Burnley.
Yeah.
Okay, Tottenham versus Watford. Tottenham won 1-0 against Wolves. And Watford lost 2-0 against Brighton. Miley G in the place to be. Talk me through Tottenham.
Yeah, so they won the early penalty. As we mentioned earlier, Delhi won it and took it, scored it. I reckon he will be taken in most leagues, but a few people might be sleeping on Delhi, and I actually really rate him. We know that he can be a huge FBL asset, and I think that he could really surprise people with the numbers that he puts up this season.
Well, he's playing the position that he scored those amazing results when we first saw him. So,
yeah,
the thing is with Tottenham, ultimately we've got a lot to learn about when Kane comes in.
Yeah, and I think he's staying, boys. I'm just going to put it out there. I think Daniel Levy has, he's just a master at, blocking transfers that he doesn't want to go through. And I think he's put that 150 mil price tag because he knows that City just can't pay that because of, financial fair play. And
but that's not in play right now. Financial fair play isn't even in play right now.
Really?
Yeah, because of COVID. They've all got a free pass.
So ridiculous.
Oh, sorry. I actually wasn't
getting richer, man.
Yeah, so
crazy.
I found that out I think I was reading during researching for the draft. But yeah, basically they've kind of scrapped it during COVID for a bit just because there's no fans in stadiums. So that's a big part of those teams' incomes. And they want to keep players moving, which is obviously it's super unfair for the smaller teams that are really hard hit by COVID. But for teams
didn't have the money anyway.
Yeah, for teams that can spend, it's actually beneficial. I mean, not all teams can spend. Look at Barca, but.
No, it's a spicy one though to see what happens because obviously he's getting older. It's not like Haaland's situation where if he stays another year, it doesn't really matter. You'll get the same money again.
Yeah.
He's getting closer to that 30 number.
Did you see him come on?
No, I didn't actually see him come on.
When he came on, he just was like, yeah, all right, I'm here. I showed up.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. For the first... it was the first time that he's played in front of the Tottenham fans, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was Tottenham at home, wasn't it? Oh, no, it was Wolves at home. But still, he didn't really come on.
He didn't play last week, so...
He did?
He didn't play last week in game week 1.
But it was like his first start of the season, and he was very just like head down, like very, I don't know. He just looks sad, but he always looks sad. So maybe I'm just reading into it.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's just something that I slightly foreshadowed during the draft, especially when it came to me in third pick when Kane and Fernandes was left. I thought that Kane probably isn't the type of player to tank, but just in case he is, I don't want to be involved in what's going to happen with him this season. So,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk very quickly about one other asset, Bergwijn, who we talked about just quickly. For me, he looks like a bundle of energy, and maybe he is an option as like an outsider pick in some leagues because he hasn't actually really got much in terms of scoring, but he's just one player I keep seeing, and I'm like, I feel like he's close to getting some goals. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out before we moved on to Watford.
Yeah, I agree.
Heato, I feel like there's only one thing you need to say here.
About Watford?
Yeah.
I fucking called it, lads. They were punching. They were punching so hard last week.
Dude, I agreed with you. Miles was getting all hopped up. He's like, oh, yeah, Watford. But I don't know. They're a very defensive team. They'll keep some clean sheets, but...
But also we saw how open Villa were last week, and every goal was taking advantage of that. And Brighton were a lot more solid this week, and we saw Watford were not the same story week in, week out. So
no,
I think that first week, just excitement, and I reckon we would have seen across the league so many people transferring in Watford players desperately. We're going to come into Man U soon. People hyping up United, like, oh shit, they've done it. First game week. Let's see what happens. And I think a bit of reality's hit this week.
For some teams.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I had a little bit of Watford hype. Obviously I sit in the golf cart every week with my old man, who's a massive Watford head. And I saw that result that they did against Villa, and I thought that they did have goals as well as the defense. So I've made a terrible waiver decision because I wanted to go with Jesus, but I thought that maybe Dennis was a better long-term option, thinking that maybe Kane might come or stay, or him, Pep not liking Jesus. And, I'm actually really regretting not just picking up Jesus as a bit more of a punt, knowing that Dennis would probably still be available if I did want to jump on him. So
yeah, I think
we can talk about your regrets all week, but we have to finish the pod. So let's get a little bit of a sorry, that seemed brutal.
That's good. You get your FBL therapy session in later.
Yeah, look, we'll talk after.
Give us a prediction and we'll move on to the last fixture.
I think Tottenham are going to get a decent result here. I think 3-0. I think we're going to see Son on the score sheet again, and maybe a start from Kane and a goal. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled on that one. Wolves versus United, our last fixture here. Wolves, as we just said, lost 1-0 to Tottenham, and United drew 1-1 with Southampton.
Yeah. What do you think, Whitey, of Wolves?
Look, they kind of look good. Like against Tottenham. I thought that they looked pretty good, and one player that has come across both weeks, he's starting and he's getting in good positions, not necessarily finishing in them, is Traore. Like, he is getting starts and he's looking up for it.
Oh, man, 2 weeks in a row, 1v1s. Like,
I know, it's brutal. And that's why I think from an FPL side of things that maybe people are just like, oh, God, he's rubbish this season. But Traore, like, he's an animal, man. Like, he's just going to keep running, and he's going to get in those positions week in, week out. And if he's getting the starts, which he never got under Nuno, like consistent starts, I think things will eventually tick over. And, I think we could see some decent fantasy points from him this year.
It's actually a really interesting argument or debate, because there's been a lot of talk in the press this week about Nuno trying to get him to Spurs. I know he didn't start him as much as
the fuck?
Yeah. So
why?
Look,
just so he can put him on the bench. He's like, you're in my pocket. You're my bitch. He's like walking around like in a prison when he's got like the pocket hanging out, and
maybe he just feels
hanging onto it.
Maybe he's a man under threat, Nuno, and he needs a bodyguard on the bench close to him every week. He just wants some muscle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think the body. Yeah, he's got the muscle. He needs the muscle.
Yeah. I think if Traore went to a team with a really good coach, like, I don't think you'd go to Liverpool, but if you had like a Klopp or someone that could coach him and turn him into that like 50 mil player, who knows what the potential could be there if he could just add finishing to his game.
Yeah. No, I do agree. But yeah, he for me looks like one of the better options on that Wolves team at the moment, and I definitely have my eye on him.
Especially with Neto and Podence still out. I think they're still in.
Yeah, I guess that'll be the question, is whether they just fit straight back in. But
It's hard with a new manager too to tell.
You just don't know. But I think we've talked enough about Wolves losing there. Milesy, why don't you talk about Man United, Southampton? 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. Obviously, United owners will be really disappointed with this, but I think you need to take it with a grain of salt because I feel that Southampton played really well against a team like United and really closed them down in those tight areas. But just taking it to United, I want to talk about the debate that's going on in the community about Greenwood. He's obviously got the form. Does he start as much as he does when Sancho and Cavani and Rashford are in the team? What are we thinking as a long-term asset for Greenwood? Are we looking to maybe capitalize on his early form and trading him because of all of these speculations that are going to happen? Like, what do you guys think?
I would be trying to trade him in a way. Like, I'd be looking at Rashford's return date and thinking that Rashi's probably one of the big threats to him being in the team. Obviously, Sancho's not starting just yet, but I think that's a matter of time as well.
Definitely. And Martial just looks like trash up top. So
Martial's
he's got no
not
competition at the moment. Yeah.
So he's really nailed on. And if you can take advantage of someone who's maybe not paying attention, you might have got most of what you're going to get from Greenwood. I mean, you can probably hang on into him for maybe 1 or 2 more weeks, but I'd be keeping a close eye on Rashford's return date. That is going to be the big thing because he's not. I don't think he's going to push Rashford out of the team.
No, well, Rashi's got till about mid-October apparently, according to news. So a bit more time. But I think I'd be more worried short term about Sancho getting starts and then potentially Cavani getting starts too.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But Pogba's playing up there now. So Poggy will drop back. So when Sancho comes in, Pogs will drop back. So there's still that position there for Greenwood. It's for me, it's Rashford is the big one.
I think it's Rashford and Cavani because we know that Sancho's going to slot in on the right, and then Greenwood's just going to go to the centre for short term, and then the issue is going to be the Cavani, Rashford, and then Pogba debate. Because obviously Pogba's been playing so much higher than he has his whole career at Man United.
And he's looked good. And like another assist this week, I think. Yeah, another assist this week. And that's...
I think you'd want to be riding I think you either can risk it and hold or you can maybe ride a couple more game weeks until you start seeing signs.
I think you've got to know that once Man United have a fit team, that Greenwood is a rotation player.
Yeah. Look,
at the end of the day, that's what it is.
100% agree. And what I'm just trying to get through to the audience is, hold on to him for a week or two. I think that he should score in the next couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, look, they've got Wolves and Newcastle,
But then as soon as that happens, really try to do a trade for someone that's going to play the whole season that's got form. Like, you can look at so many people like Ben Rama and, obviously it'll be hard to get Son, maybe one of the city mids.
Son.
But I'm talking about, if you juice up a trade, have Greenwood and someone else.
Trade rate.
But if you've got Greenwood and you've got a nice, fairly decent defender and you offer, someone that doesn't have a good defense, Greenwood and a good defender for Son, and they just look at the form, you could just blag yourself a little trade rape, we like to call it.
Yeah, no, that could happen.
It could happen. I think you've just got to be switched on to Man U news.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we're saying here is just keep an eye on those returning players. But let's round it out. This is it. This is the end. Miles, I think you've got the last prediction here. Give us what you got.
Yeah.
What do you got, fella?
Yeah. I'll say Wolves did impress me, but I think that United will do a little bounce back. I'll say 3-1 to United.
Fair enough.
Alrighty.
Not bad.
I think we could see that. I think we could see that come back.
I think we could see that too.
Maybe Traore will finally finish one.
Maybe.
Boys, I think that really rounds out quite an interesting week. Definitely our highlight fixture there is Chelsea-Liverpool. But yeah, it's going to be... It's the start of the season is such an exciting time.
Yeah. A lot of question marks.
You really got to take risks and, make sure you're on top of trades early. Like when you've got someone like fucking Miles stealing every player before you can get to them, you've got to be on top of it. So this is really one of the most important parts of the season. So stay on top of your transfers.
That's it. With draft, you've just got to think outside the box, especially when you're playing waiver, because waiver is just so brutal when you're up top because you just can't get any of the form players. So you've got to be thinking about things in the future.
The future.
The future. Look at this wisdom. The super drive.
He's standing up. He's standing up and doing like weird push-ups on his table. I'm a little bit worried. I think he needs to pee. So what we'll do is we'll just drag this out a little longer. And all right, boys.
Just these 3 beers have just gone straight through me, boys.
It was good to see you again. Please, of course, as we always say, hit us up, FPL Draft Boys, on any of our socials if you've got some queries, and we might address. Well, we'll try and address it on the pod.
Hit us up.
That's it for another